Say hi to the world.
Hello, world.
So, when you first started dating my father, did you know that he had XLH or had any type of disorder?
No.
When did it become evident that he did have when did it become evident to you that he had XLH, or at that time what was it called?
Um, he had mentioned it to me after we'd moved in together, I think into our first year, when he had gotten info from his mother. And then he just kind of blase mentioned it. Oh, I have vitamin D resistance. I think something with my kids will be like 50-50 odds. And he admitted that he didn't pay attention to the conversation. He doesn't know that kind of details. And that was all.
And with him, did you ever, before he like blase mentioned it, did you notice that there was something different with him or anything like that?
Yes, I could always beat him when we were running.
And that was like that was the only identifier, like you didn't notice like he had both
Well,
legs or anything?
just his bow-leggedness, but he wasn't really, he was more top bow-legged, so it really didn't have too much of an impact on his stature. He was short, but everyone was shorter than me.
And when you and Daddy got married and you had become pregnant with me, did you know that when you became pregnant that I would have a chance of having XLH, or were you not told? Like, how did you?
I think initially it wasn't in our mind, because it was like one of those, oh crap, we're having a baby kind of situations. And it wasn't until I think there were other issues. There were other underlying issues when you were born that kind of prioritized um, that. So it really didn't become involved with the doctors until you were in like your 2 years, your 2 to 4 years.
And those other things that you said when I was born, I know that as far as I know, they weren't XLH related,
No,
right?
no.
And so you said that I was officially diagnosed when I was two, where they concerned or aware or think that I might have uh, vitamin D deficient rickets, or
They called it, I think your first doctor called it vitamin D rickets. And then it wasn't until you were 4 years old that you started seeing an endocrinologist that defined it as hypophosphatemic rickets.
and did at 2 years old did the doctors believe that it was genetically passed, or
Yes.
did you or the doctors? Who informed who? Like, did you inform the doctors that there was a possibility, or did they?
Yes. No, I think I informed the doctors because I had done research on it. And once I had done the research, that's when a lot of it was, um, in my finding, that it was somehow related to his girls
Mm-hmm.
and his genes, and that's kind of the biology part that I remember, the X and the Y.
And when I was first diagnosed as a mother, as being your firstborn, how did that make you feel? Like, do you remember, like, your initial reaction to finding out?
I can honestly say there was no difference. It was it was what it was. It didn't matter.
And when I started receiving care, what was like the first thing that you remember them doing for me?
Those powder packets.
Oh, those are disgusting.
It was horrible.
Ice cream. You
It
tried
was
to put it.
horrible forcing you to try to those things.
And I guess going back to Daddy, did you ever see him take any medicine or anything like that, as far
No.
as you know? So this was your first experience trying to give medicine, and the powder was the K-Phos, right?
Yes.
And um, what else did they do that you were unfamiliar with when I first got diagnosed?
The arterial, I remember the arterial, like all of y'all had to have the testing via arterial, and it was the screaming and the holding you down and that type of torture. I think it was torture more for me hearing those screaming. But I guess it was painful.
When did they first do the genetic testing on me that you know of?
When you were 4.
And that's how they determined that it was genetically passed, right?
Yes. That you had, no, not that it was genetically passed, just that it was XLH.
And did they ever tell you what gene it was, like the FX gene, now that we
No.
know? And
I was never told.
okay. And I just remember, like, I didn't do the powders for that long. I remember they were bad,
Yeah,
but then I started doing the pills, right?
Yes. You were 4 years old when you started popping a pill.
And I guess from like a husband and wife's standpoint, how do you think it affected my dad, on me being diagnosed and going through this at first? Before the surgeries, before everything. Did he ever discuss, like, blame himself?
No, not at that point, no, because it was new to him in the beginning, having to be a parent, role reversal, I guess. But he would try to help you at that young of an age, putting you on top of the counter, and he would help you. Like, he had that commonality. Like, he knew that medicine, he was familiar with that, so that was something that he was able to help you get through. So he was helpful at that point, yes. So he wasn't, I don't know what he was feeling, whether it was happy, sad, mad, or what, but he just took to it in his part, trying to help.
And did he ever say, like, when I did become weight bearing, was I more bowed as a child than he was at like in pediatric wise?
He doesn't remember too much from his youth to know. I don't think he ever really took to your bow-leggedness as
More severe, less severe, like he didn't think about it?
He didn't compare.
Okay. And when it became closer and as I got older to the first surgery, how did that make you feel as a parent, as a mother, as someone who doesn't have XLH? How did you feel? And if you can, explain how Daddy felt from your perspective.
So I think it's one to say that as we were approached about it, we wanted and understood that the surgery would help you. But going through the process, in retrospect, I understood why both doctors were conflicting, because what one doctor was telling us was, this will fix her, this will help her, this will make her perfect. Obviously, the other one was saying, he's not helping.
And those doctors were the ortho and the endo?
Yes.
And why ultimately did you go with the orthos?
So at that time, we assumed that would help your pain, that would, the bowing was what needed to be corrected to keep you in your livelihood at that time, to keep your function going so that you can be an active young kid.
Right. And after the first 3 surgeries, and I guess the traumatization of both you and I, and seeing that, what did that do to you as a parent?
I'm sure other parents have gone through something far worse, but in any given situation, when a parent sees their child in pain, obviously it's a fight or flight thing that kicks in. And I think for both of us, your father and I, had a fight or flight because we firmly believed that we were doing something that would help you.
Right. And for you, what was the hardest thing with all of the surgeries, or just in general, of being a parent of an XLHer? What would you say has been the hardest thing you've ever had to witness with me in particular?
I think that was the depression of the last surgery.
With you or with me?
You. Watching you go through it.
How so?
I think, to me, you questioned your worth.
Was there anything, I guess now, what would have been your regret with it? Just doing it all in general?
I can't say that I had any regrets other than fighting the dark cloud that tried to help you.
And, I mean, personally, you were always there for me. And yeah, I did go through that depression. But what made you, I guess, step back when I became an adult for my 4th and 5th surgery? Why didn't you stop me or do something then? What made you just say, okay, do it? Or not fight me, because it was ultimately my decision?
I think I could only say, at that time, I could only say my opinions. And there were too many other involved factors.
In your opinion, should I have done the 4th and 5th one?
Which one is the 4th and 5th?
The 4th was my left leg. The 5th one was the last one.
5th, no. Probably so the 4th. The 5th one, no.
And how did it make you feel knowing that I would never have that same mobility or have that?
I don't think we can say that you would have or wouldn't have. I mean, there was a reason it was done, but there are so many results from it. So it's the chaos theory. You know, you can't go back in time and change it, because then that wouldn't have happened.
Right.
So, you know, it's, again, one of those things where you made that decision to do it, but
do you ever feel like you blamed me?
No. For the last one? No.
Or just for any of them?
No, never. Never.
Do you look at me different because of it?
I do. Only in a positive way. I mean, I've seen you go through so much. And I was a wimp when it came to childbirth. So, to have
Just remember
seen
you
you.
trying to hold me down and like you're trying to faint, but you're trying to help me at the same time.
True story.
Dania, Dania, it's okay, Dania. I'm gonna faint, Dania.
I agree totally, but that's that fight or flight, you know?
Right.
It kicked in. But
And
never think negatively of any of that. No.
when you became pregnant the second time with Zachary, before you knew that he was a boy, were you afraid of him going through
No.
the same?
Everything happens for a reason, including everybody.
And then random gap between Zachary
The oops
and
baby.
and Trinity. Once you knew that she was a girl, how did you feel going into or being pregnant with another girl, knowing that she would have XLH?
Well, with Trinity, it was totally different because I was going through my own health issues. So,
Did they consider it a geriatric pregnancy at that point? Just kidding.
I could give you this. So, other than that, it was just the heavy duty monitoring that I had to go through. I think I was more concerned about her because of the treatment that I was getting at the time.
Did they do testing like in utero on her at all?
No,
Did they monitor you, like your phosphorus levels and everything, or
no, they don't. I had my own issues going
right?
on, so
I
it was
remember
only
that.
mine.
But when she was born, she was diagnosed earlier than I was, right? She
was diagnosed at 6 months.
and I know that you are very standoffish with Trinity. We all are about her having the surgeries and everything. But now that she's older, that she's 16, would you ever, I guess, not like let her, or would you ever, I guess, consider any type of operation or surgery for her?
I think ultimately, yes, as far as openness, but I think now I'd be more educational about it, and I would follow up and research it before I agreed to anything. Um, which I guess comes into my geriatric years. Whereas with you, I was so young. But I think it's just, happenstance that it'd be more educated
And what would you say would
decision.
be like the biggest difference through Trinity and I, like in the years, like when we were younger? What was the biggest difference with me and Trinity, or Trinity and I, as opposed to?
I think that comes, the only difference is because y'all were both outgoing, both leaders. There's a lot of commonality between you two, but it's also birth order. You're demanding, dramatic. She's like peacemaker, doesn't start to fight.
And now that she's starting to feel more pain and I guess becoming more aware of her XLH and her body's needs and demands and lack of certain things, does that bring back things with me, or is it a whole different type of?
No, it's with you. It was more communicative. With her, she's never had to verbalize her pain. So right now she's trying to learn how to communicate her pain and get on that pain chart or pain scale. Whereas you and I had that communication on pain scale and what to do, and we were programmed. With her, it's verbalizing. We're just learning that.
And with Daddy, do you? I know that I see that he acts a lot different with her than he did with me, in some ways. But do you feel that you personally do or approach things differently with her because of her lack of communication, or learning to communicate, I should say?
Yes, but that depends on subject matter.
Well, specifically with like XLH and her pain.
Specifically with like brush your teeth.
Okay.
That kind of thing. Yeah, definitely, because of the fact that she has whatever that thing is called with her teeth. She's only got the 10 missing teeth.
Right.
Whereas with you, it was more brush your teeth because you're getting sugar bugs.
Ew.
Whatever the hell that term was at that time, at that age. But
Is there anything else?
it's totally different.
Is there anything else you'd like to share as a parent of an XLH or not having XLH of yourself? Any words of wisdom or
Words of wisdom.
words of experience?
Good days and bad days.
What would
But
be?
no day will ever be just the same.
I guess one final question I have, because I get this a lot, as me being a girl and having that potential of carrying the gene to either a son or a daughter, from your perspective, if you had the chance to remove the gene like I do, I can potentially have it to where if I plan on becoming pregnant, I can remove the FX gene. If that were ever an option for you, would you have done it?
No. I'm not very religious, but that's somewhat kin to playing God. I would never have optioned that for either one of y'all.
And if, how would you feel if that, since that is an option for me and Trinity, how would you feel being like a potential grandparent and I did that?
I think so much has changed for the hope for XLHers that because I'm of that mindset and of that opinion, for me, of ruling out because of playing God, I can go either way. If that's your decision, okay, I respect that. But at the same time, you're going to hear my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
That's playing God.
Right.
Because it's like a candy machine. Well, or a vending machine. You can't get that and then pick out what you want. You know, it is what it is. You live with it. I made that choice. I wouldn't have changed it anyway.
Do you worry about Trinity or I having children? Because
yeah, eventually, I want to be a grandmother.
But I mean, like having a kid that would have XLH.
Do I worry that you guys will? Well, no, because you are going to eventually. I mean, you have 50-50 odds.
Yeah. Okay. Any words of wisdom or anything else you'd like to share?
The good thing is that we are so much, there's so much out there now, and there's so many people. At the time that you were born, I didn't have anything. I remember going on the AOL and hearing the dunk, 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 and getting on that network. Yes. And the network was like just this mumbo jumbo of MDOS, and it just was so overwhelming to hear everybody's surgeries and correctedness. And to me, it was mind-blowing. So I had to unplug from that because I wanted to hear positive. And so with so many groups out there, I love the positivity. I love seeing the pictures of the girls and the babies and the boys. It's mostly the girls that have the pictures, but their legs suddenly looking straighter. I mean, it's amazing that there's so much progress from you to your sister and how so much has changed, and the gap is kind of getting closer, so that by the time that you guys are ready for children, we'll be closer to another gap.
Well, I want to let you know I'm pregnant. Just kidding. Your face. Oh my God. That would be so... I'm just kidding. I'm not pregnant. I'm not pregnant, guys. I just scared my mother.
Father.
Okay. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.